Bhaavika Thanvi,
Yes,
tell us something about yourself.
sir, I'm a student of psychology and I've been born and brought up in Jaipur, Rajasthan. I've completed my graduation in the same subject and also done an advanced diploma in counseling and guidance. And since 2020, I've been preparing for the civil services.
And this is your second attempt.
Yes, sir.
Well, congratulations, you've made it this far,
Thank you, sir.
just one step away. Now, tell me the budget. Have you gone through it? Glanced through the articles or the headlines on the budget?
Yes, sir, some aspects of it, though I haven't seen the whole budget as of now. I am planning to see it starting tomorrow as soon as I reach home.
Okay, don't be defensive. Let us ask you a little bit. Are you aware of the vision? What is the vision of the budget, the vision of Amrit Kal?
Yes, sir. I believe they've also come up with the term Saptarishi for it.
That's separate. First,
Okay.
tell us the vision of Amrit Kal.
Okay, it looks at India at 2047, I believe, and how India would develop, focusing on inclusive development, sustainability, and improving the standard of living, amongst many things.
So now tell us about the Saptarishi, the 7 priorities.
Yes, sir. I can recall a few of them. First being inclusive development, second is green energy, third is financial inclusion or social welfare. I believe I'm not able to recall all of them.
Social welfare, the allocations have come down. The focus is on CAPEX, capital expenditure, and not on social services. That is one criticism of the budget. Are you aware of this?
Yes, sir.
Why is this criticism? Is this valid?
Sir, to some aspects it might be valid, considering that the allocations for the Manrega program have been reduced and capital expenditure is being increased. But I believe that via increasing capital expenditure, employment can be generated and social welfare can be achieved through these steps as well.
But Manrega, have they reduced the allocations?
Yes, sir.
And at the cost of Manrega, they've promoted 2 social welfare schemes.
Sir, sorry, sir.
Existing, no, you're not aware of that.
Yes, I'm not aware.
Okay. But is Manrega really that important?
Sir, I believe that it does hold quite a bit of importance, considering that it does provide employment to the people in rural areas and also helps in the development of those areas through building watershed programs or roads, amongst many things.
But capital expenditure is the big thing. Increasing capital expenditure. By how much has it increased?
Sorry, sir, I'm not sure about that.
More than 30%.
Okay.
And in which areas would this investment go?
Sir, I can't recall the exact areas, but if you allow me to speculate, I can.
No, don't speculate.
Okay.
Don't speculate. Are you aware of what's happening in the Adani affair?
Yes, sir, I read upon it a little bit.
So what are the allegations made by the Hindenburg group?
Sir, I believe that it is about the Adani group having several subsidiaries and using those to inflate the amount of their shares and the amount of their enterprise. And because of that, the stock
But
market
isn't
has been
that
affected.
being done by most companies?
Sir, it might
They
be.
have subsidiaries. Yeah, all major companies have subsidiaries, and they interplay the shares of one with the other. So what is the specific fraudulent areas that the Hindenburg has pointed out?
Sir, I believe that the inflation of shares via these means, even if there is no real actual
How
transaction
did they
happening,
inflate the shares?
Sir, through a process in which some transactions were shown.
What is that process called?
Sir, I'm not sure, but I believe maybe round tripping, though I'm not able
It's
to
called
recall.
short selling.
Yes, sir.
But you're not aware of what is short selling.
Yes.
No?
Sir, I couldn't recall that word.
It's very simple. When the shares are down, you
Yes,
buy
sir.
them. And when the share values increases, you sell them. But in respect of Adani, it is more devious than this. You don't know.
No, sorry, sir, not
So,
aware.
what is the role of SEBI? Meaning, if Hindenburg in the United States comes out with such misdemeanors, why can't the SEBI do it? Is there
Sir,
a lapse?
Sir, I believe that SEBI is now looking into the situation, though I'm not completely aware of the happenings as of right now.
So SEBI is looking into it, you're right. But my point is somebody should look into SEBI itself.
Sir, I do believe that SEBI is quite a reputed institution, and whether it's
What is at stake for India? It's a businessman with a group of companies.
Yes.
What is at stake for India?
Yes, sir. So I believe the first is the stock market, and people have invested greatly in it. That, and also the reputation or the belief that people might have in that stock market, or the regulations of the different companies that might be affected.
Okay. Now, you've studied psychology. Your mother is also a consulting psychologist.
Yes, sir.
And your father is also in medicine. Is he a doctor?
Yes, sir. He's a psychiatrist.
Also a psychiatrist.
Yes.
Okay. So what do psychiatrists do and what do psychologists do?
So psychiatrists hold a medical degree. He has completed his MBBS, and psychologists are from the background of psychology. They might have done a master's in science or a master's in arts for psychology.
But you're not called doctors.
They're not called doctors.
You cannot give prescriptions.
Yes, sir, they can't give prescriptions.
But you can diagnose mental illnesses.
Yes, sir.
Now tell us about mental illnesses. Everybody talks about mental illness. In our time, nobody used to talk about stress and mental illness. Now everybody talks about that. Why is that?
Sir, I believe there can be two major reasons. The first is the increasing levels of stress in the current world, be it through forms of competition, through crowding, or the pressures of life have increased, changes in lifestyles and the pattern that we lead in everyday life.
So whatever the reasons, mental stress is a fact. How would you advise a person who is doing well in his career and has a reasonably good family life, but he's mentally stressed?
Yes, sir. Sir, to advise the person, I would have to see the causes behind the stress. The stress.
I'm talking generically.
Okay. So the advice could be to focus on physical activity, as there's a great mind and body connect. The second is I could also advise meditation to the person and other techniques like progressive muscle relaxation that we use in the field of psychology.
If all of these don't work, then?
Sir, I believe that then the person can consult a psychologist or a psychiatrist, as or so he deems.
A psychologist or a psychiatrist?
Yes, sir.
Which one?
So I would advise to first go to a psychologist, and if the psychologist deems that the person needs prescription, that is not able to, therapies might not be helping him so much, then he could go for medications as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bonjour mademoiselle.
Bonjour monsieur.
Est-ce que vous parlez français bien?
Je parle français un peu.
Quel est votre nom?
Bhaavika Thanvi. Je m'appelle Bhaavika Thanvi.
Où étudiez-vous?
Sorry.
Où étudiez-vous? Where did you study?
I studied and j'étudiais dans une université à Jaipur.
Où habitez-vous?
À Jaipur aussi, monsieur.
Merci mademoiselle. You like to study languages?
Yes.
Apart from Korean and French, which other language would you like to study? If you are allotted the foreign service, which is
Yes.
your service of choice,
Yes.
you would have to go to study a language abroad. Which language would you choose?
Sir, I have experimented with Russian and Turkish as well. So if I'm allotted a language along these lines, that would be to my preference. If not, I'm interested in almost all of the languages.
All right. Which language would you consider to be the most difficult to learn?
Sir, in my experience till now, it has been Korean, because I faced a lot of issues while learning its script, which was
script.
quite different.
Same with Chinese.
Yes, sir.
Same with Arabic.
Yes, sir.
Because when you have to start with the script, it makes things more difficult.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, since you want to join the foreign service, tell me, what's the difference between a high commission and an embassy?
Sir, I believe the high commissions are located in countries, the Commonwealth countries, and embassies in the other nations. Like in US, we have an embassy, and UK a high
In
commission.
India's neighborhood, can you tell me some countries where we have embassies? In the immediate neighborhood.
Sir, possibly in Bhutan. I'm not able to recall exactly.
You're not sure.
Not sure, but
What about Nepal?
So that's also possible, considering it wasn't a part of the British Empire.
It wasn't.
Yes, sir.
Can you name some countries where we have high commissions?
Yes, sir. Pakistan and Bangladesh.
Also Sri Lanka.
Yes. Yes.
Now, what can you tell me about the Abraham Accords?
Sir, the Abraham Accords were signed recently.
How recently? When?
So around 2020, I believe.
Correct. And by which countries?
So US and Israel as well as UAE, US had mediated in this. It was to reduce the differences between
No,
these
but
countries.
you must first complete telling me which countries.
So these are the ones I'm able to recall.
You
right
said
now.
Israel. US was a guarantor.
Yes, sir.
But which were the main parties?
UAE as well, United Arab Emirates. I'm not able to recall.
And
exactly.
Bahrain.
Yes, sir.
Now, what were the geopolitical compulsions for UAE and Bahrain to sign this agreement?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall it
The
right now.
geopolitical, what were the reasons which prompted them in terms of their neighborhood? Were there some challenges?
Yes, sir, challenges in the neighborhood as well as the differences they've had over the past few decades, considering.
With whom?
With Israel.
But now they are mending fences with Israel, but there are some new geopolitical challenges in their neighborhood. Coming from where?
So I'm not sure. I'm not able to recall it right now.
All right, of course, it's Iran, the Iranian threat.
Yes, sir.
That is the factor which prompted them to mend fences with Israel.
Yes.
Now, which was the first Arab country to establish diplomatic relations with Israel?
So I believe it was Egypt.
And which year was that?
I'm not able to recall.
And
the
what
year, sir.
was that peace treaty called?
Sorry, sir.
Camp David.
Yes, sir.
That was in 79. I was posted in Egypt at that time.
Okay.
Which was the next country?
I'm not able to recall.
Jordan.
Okay, sir.
In which year?
Sorry,
94.
sir.
After UAE and Bahrain, some other Arab countries have normalized relations. Is it correct?
Sir, I'm not sure.
So
Other
the
than-
Middle East is very important,
Yes, sir.
for a student of, aspirant for the foreign
Yes, sir.
service. It's also a region in turmoil all the time.
Yes, sir.
Sudan and Morocco also were normalized.
Yes.
Now, coming to India's immediate neighborhood, we follow a neighborhood first policy.
Yes.
In that context, BIMSTEC is important.
Yes.
What's the full form of BIMSTEC?
So, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral and Technical Cooperation.
Please, once again.
Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral and Technical Cooperation.
Technical and economic cooperation.
Technical and Economic Cooperation.
That's the whole agenda.
Yes.
Now, how many countries are members of BIMSTEC?
So, I believe almost all of our immediate
Tell me
neighbors.
how
are-
many countries? I'm asking you a question.
So, just a second. Can I take a few seconds?
Okay, let's see
Yes.
which countries.
Uh,
Enumerate.
So, India, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, as well as Thailand and Myanmar.
Any others?
Also, possibly Maldives.
No,
but
it's
okay.
only these.
Only
So 7
these, okay.
countries. Are. Why is BIMSTEC so important in the context of India's foreign policy objectives?
Sir, because this is a region of our immediate neighborhood, and it would also help us to increase our connectivity and integratedness in the region, considering that South Asia is one of the least integrated regions of the world. And also, it would help in our objectives for the Act East policy, that Thailand and Myanmar are the ways through which we can connect through the East Asia.
Development of the
Southeast
whole
Asia.
northeast region of India also.
Yes. Sir.
Now, looking at another neighbor, what do you think are the main challenges that we face from Pakistan? The security challenges.
Yes, sir. I think two major challenges that come to my mind. The first is terrorism, and the second is drug trafficking as well.
Terrorism. Can you tell me about some of the major terrorist attacks which have been carried out by Pakistani organizations against India? Can you name
Yes, sir. The 26/11 attack
the
and
Mumbai terror attack?
the Mumbai
Okay.
terror attack. Similar attacks were carried out in Jaipur as well around the same period of time, and also several terror attacks in military bases like Pathankot and also in Jammu and Kashmir.
But where?
Uh,
Which was the last very major attack which we retaliated with a surgical strike?
sorry, sir, I'm not able to
The
recall.
Pulwama attack.
The Pulwama attack,
Now,
yes, sir.
Can you name some of the major terrorist organizations operating from Pakistan against India?
Sir, I'm able to recall the name of one organization right now, that is LET,
What's the full form?
Lashkar-e-Taiba. Lashkar-e-Taiba.
Lashkar, not
Lash-
Lashkar.
Okay.
Lashkar-e-Taiba.
Lashkar.
Who heads this organization?
Sorry, sir.
And can you tell me some of the attacks which this organization carried out against India?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall right
The
now.
Mumbai terror attack, the attack
Yes,
on
sir.
our parliament in 2001.
Yes, sir.
And you can't recall the other prominent terrorist organization
Sorry,
which
sir,
carried
not
out
right now.
the attack against Uri, Pathankot, Pulwama.
Sorry, sir, I can't recall it right now.
I'm asking you this because the security challenges from Pakistan, especially in the context of terrorism, pertain to our national interest. And
Yes,
as a
sir.
civil servant, you would have to protect and promote India's national interests, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now, what can you tell me about the G4?
Sorry, sir, I can't recall it right now.
Which are the countries in the G4?
Sorry, sir, I can't recall
You don't
it
know
right
what it was set up for?
now. Sorry,
Okay,
sir.
it
I'm
was
not
for
able to recall.
Security Council reform. India is a
Yes.
member. Which are the other members? Now you should be able to tell me.
Yes, sir. I believe along with India, there's possibly Italy.
No. Italy is
Okay.
on the other side. It's
Okay.
in the coffee club.
Oh, yes, sir.
So it
Sorry,
was
sir.
India, Germany, Japan, and Brazil. Security Council reform,
Yes.
wanting a permanent seat.
Yes.
Security Council is one of the permanent principal organs of the UN. How
Yes,
many
sir.
principal organs in all are there?
So 6 organs.
Can you tell me which ones?
So the Security Council, the General Assembly, the Human Rights Commission. Is,
No, it's
okay.
it's a subsidiary organ
Okay.
which reports to a principal organ.
Okay, sir. Sorry, sir.
That should help you.
The ECOSOC.
Yes, it reports to ECOSOC. That's 3
Yes, sir.
now. 3 more. As a foreign service aspirant,
Yes, sir.
you should, this
Yes,
is,
sir.
I mean, it's,
Yes, sir. I need to read upon it a
all right.
bit more.
Now, another threat that we face is from China. Of course, you have followed the developments along our border, but there is also the maritime threat. What can you tell me about China's string of pearls?
Yes, sir. Sir, the string of pearls strategy by China. China is setting up ports or naval bases along various places in the Indian Ocean, including in Sri Lanka,
Which port?
Hambantota ports.
Okay. Some other ports in our neighborhood?
Sir, in Maldives, but I'm not able to recall the names
There's
of
potential,
these.
but
Yes, sir.
not so likely. Much more close to us. Much more
Sir,
of a threat.
Bangladesh.
Much more of a threat.
Sorry, sir. In Pakistan.
Which
yes,
one is
sir.
that?
The Gwadar port.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
That is
Yes, sir.
having the full potential of being used for military purposes. The one in Bangladesh, well, Bangladesh has said Chittagong is not going to be used.
Yes.
So as long as there is a friendly government, unlikely that it will be used
Yes.
by the Chinese for military purposes. But China is threatening some other countries also. What can you tell me about China-Japan tensions?
Yes, sir. The China-Japan tensions have also been on the rise, and I believe Japan has also increased its defense budget in
How much?
sight of this. I'm not sure by how much.
What was it till now?
Sorry, sir. I'm
Less
not-
than 1% of GDP.
Okay.
What is it now going to become? What is Japan proclaiming?
Sorry, sir. I'm not sure about how much they've
Okay,
increased the
more
budget.
than 2%
Okay.
in 5 years. However, the Japanese Prime Minister visited
Yes, sir.
some key G7 allies
Yes.
in this context of strengthening Japan's military preparedness.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me something about this visit? First of all, which countries does he visit?
So I believe one would have been US or
Would have been or was?
sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall.
You didn't follow this visit?
No,
Who's
sir, I
the
did
Japanese Prime Minister?
not. Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall the name right now.
Okay, Fumi Kishida.
Yes,
He
sir.
visited US, Canada, Italy, Britain, and France.
Yes.
And why not Germany? Germany is also a G7 ally.
I'm not
Because he will be having a summit with Germany in March, so
Okay.
he will cover Germany at that time.
sure. Okay, sir.
See, your international relations are forever involved. They're very
Yes, sir.
interesting. They're like a game of chess, but you have to follow. Russia-Ukraine war, surely you follow.
Yes, sir.
What are the main causes of this war?
Sir, I believe the reason for the start of the war had been that Russia believed that with Ukraine becoming a part of NATO, if that were to happen, then NATO would be at its borders, at its
How many
shores.
countries are there in NATO already?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall
You
the
don't know?
number.
Where is NATO headquartered?
Sorry, sir. I
Who's the
can't-
Secretary General of NATO?
Sorry, sir.
Have
I'm not
any
sure.
other countries also expressed their desire to join NATO? Applied for NATO membership?
Yes, sir. I believe Sweden has also expressed the desire, but there are some issues related
What are
to
the
that.
issues?
I believe Turkey is opposing Sweden's because there was a burning of the holy book Quran over there.
But the background? Because
Yes.
Sweden has given shelter to Turkish rebels from the PKK,
Okay, sir.
the Kurdistan People's Party.
Okay, sir.
So Turkey wants these people to be extradited,
Yes, sir.
and Sweden is not willing to. And a member of the Swedish parliament burned the Quran in front of the Turkish embassy. So there's a whole string of developments. Which is the other country?
Sir, possibly one of these three countries, Finland.
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
Sir, I'm not sure about it right now.
Are you following the G20 meetings,
Yes, sir.
the working group meetings? India is going to have 200 working group meetings in different cities.
Yes, sir.
There was one in your state, Rajasthan.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me about it?
Sir, I believe.
When? What is the subject?
Sir, I can't recall the subject.
It ends today.
That is in Jodhpur,
Correct.
and before that in Udaipur.
So what is the one
yes,
in Jodhpur?
Sorry, sir, I haven't read about
It's in
it.
employment.
Okay, sir.
It's in your state.
Yes, sir.
There's another one which ended yesterday, but which was held
Yes, sir.
elsewhere. What was that about?
Sorry, sir, I'm not sure. About
Because
it.
India is setting
Yes,
a
sir.
global agenda, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So what would you think would be some of the items which should figure on the global agenda? What is your thoughts?
Sir, I can think of a few things
Like?
that would be there. Health, sustainability.
How was the working group meeting on health?
Sorry, sir.
Recently?
Sir, I'm not able to recall.
On
it
Kovalam
right now.
Beach?
Yes, sir.
You didn't follow that.
Sorry, sir. I didn't.
Alright, my last question to you. We were earlier talking about India's neighbors. You would have followed the Sri Lankan economic crisis.
Yes, sir.
In brief, the factors which led to that crisis.
Sir, one factor that there are several. The first one being that there was a sudden change in the agricultural system. The organic fertilizers were
Okay,
introduced.
switch over to organic. That's one. Then two.
Second was, I believe, the taxation system. There were a lot of subsidies given out.
Three.
And third was the COVID crisis.
The fall in tourism revenue.
Yes,
Who
sir.
was the president of Sri Lanka when this crisis broke out?
Sir, Mr. Rajpaksha, I
What's his
believe.
full name?
Sorry, sir.
Who was the prime minister?
Sir, also.
So
Mr.
one Rajapaksa was
yes, sir.
president, one was prime minister. Who was
Yes, sir.
president?
I'm not able to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bhaavika, you are from Jaipur.
Yes, sir.
It's a pink city.
Yes, sir.
Why it is called pink city?
Sir, because the central city of Jaipur was painted pink when Prince Albert visited the city to showcase the hospitality of the city.
Good. Which one is the blue city?
Sir, Jodhpur.
Why it is called blue?
Because the towns over there, the houses over there are painted blue in color. I'm not sure of the reason why they're painted so, but
Okay, and which one is the golden city?
Sir, Jaisalmer.
How many golden city in India other than this Jaisalmer?
Sorry, sir, I'm
No
not
idea.
sure.
Okay, have you heard about the United Nations Convention for Combating Desertification Convention?
Yes, sir.
Where it was held?
Sir, in Delhi a while back, but I'm not able to recall.
Any one or two important recommendations which is related to the state?
So, related to the state, planting of several trees and shrubs were recommended, but exact recommendations I'm not able to recall, sir.
Okay, what are the 5 important issues of your state, which is a matter of concern?
So, can I take a few seconds to?
Sure, sure.
So the first would be women's issues like sati and the level of education and the standard of women in the state. Second is child marriages. Third is the water crisis and desertification, the fourth one. And fifth one is the underdevelopment of various parts of the state.
Okay, please tell 3 popular programs launched by your state government.
Yes, sir. One was recently the Chiranjeevi Yojana for health. Another is a urban employment program, which was also launched recently. And sorry, sir, I'm able to recall these 2 right now.
No problem. Have you seen any sand dunes in your state?
Yes, sir. Around the Bikaner Jaisalmer side.
Okay, what is the characteristic of a sand dune?
Sir, there are several different types. I believe barchans are there as well. I'm not sure exactly the characteristics.
Okay, I will tell you. This is keep on shifting from one place to other.
Yes, sir.
So, state government has made some program to fix it. That is called sand dune fixation.
Okay.
What are the species used for vegetation to fix it?
Sorry, sir.
No
I
idea.
haven't read about it.
Okay. Who was the modern Bhagirath of Rajasthan?
Sorry, sir. I'm not sure about that.
Have you heard about Gang Nahar?
No, sir.
No. Indira Gandhi Canal.
Yes, sir.
What is the importance? What is the some good things? I mean, advantages of it. The Indira Gandhi Canal and some disadvantages as well.
Yes, sir.
Please.
So the advantages are that it brings water to several dry districts of Rajasthan, which has allowed those parts to participate in agricultural activities at a greater level. The disadvantage is also emanating from this only, that several parts are now cultivating rice, which is leading to land degradation in those areas. And also it has led to a few conflicts as well with the other states involved.
Anything more?
No, sir.
Okay. Shri Anna, have you heard about this term? In this budget itself, there is
No,
a
sir.
mention. What is the importance of millets? Why there is so much emphasis on this millets?
Yes, millets are quite hardy crops, and they're drought resistant too, and also high in protein and fiber and other nutrients. And that's why the year 2023 has been declared the International Year of Millets.
Your state can be a leader in production of millets?
Yes, sir, I believe so, because Rajasthan is one of the leading producers of millets. For example, bajra and jowar are grown in the state.
What is the glycemic index of bajra?
Sorry, sir, I'm
No
not sure
idea.
about
Okay. What are the adaptation? The plant and animal goes in desert ecosystem. They adopt themselves to the very tough condition. What are those adaptations? Can you recall some?
In the desert ecosystem? Sir, they develop thin spine-like leaves, needle-like leaves, reducing transpiration. They have waxy stems as well, and they have deep roots, spread out roots to search for water. These are the
They are
three.
for the vegetation. What is for the fauna? Animals?
So fauna, for example, the camel has a hump to store water, and several different species, they burrow themselves deep in sand during the day and come out at night to look for food when the temperature is cooler.
Okay, as you mentioned, water was always an issue in Rajasthan, water crisis. There were some traditional mechanism, or you can say techniques,
Yes,
to conserve water.
yes.
Can you recall some methods of conserving water?
Yes, sir. There were bowries and step wells which conserved water. They were built in several places, especially in and around the forts and palaces of the state. Also, within the households, there were methods of storing water, like a pond-like structure or bath-like structure in the middle of the house, called the chalk of the house. There, these structures were built.
Where COP27 was held?
Sir, I believe Sharm el Sheikh.
Yes, right. Please tell one important recommendation, outcome of the conference.
Sir, I believe the contribution towards loss and damage was guaranteed through it.
Good. Okay. What are the forest-dominated district of your state?
Sir, these are the southern districts like Udaipur and Alwar, not Alwar, sir, like Udaipur. These are dominated.
What are the important naturally growing tree species in these forest areas?
Sorry, sir, I can't recall the ones growing in these areas. In general, I can recall the ones growing in.
Okay, you have taken, you have mentioned Indian Foreign Service as your first choice.
Yes, sir.
Our National Security Advisor visited USA.
Yes, sir.
What was the outcome of his very important high-profile meeting?
Sorry, sir, I haven't followed.
You're not
upon
following
it
the
yet.
newspaper. It's very important.
Yes, sir.
Okay, why inflation in India is under control, but
Yes,
USA
sir.
has been not in a position to control the inflation? Why?
Sir, I'm not able to recall the exact reasons, but I can list a few if.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I believe one is the oil prices that had impacted, and also the the food scarcity issues, or the import of foods that were done because of that. Overall market prices had increased.
Okay, my last question is, what is the, China's, India-China trade, volume? What is, how many $billion?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall. It's in surplus, but I'm
India
not able
import more or export?
So imports
China?
more from China. So we have a trade deficit with China.
Any idea about the volume of that trade, that deficit?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bhavika, your interview with us is over. Kindly stay outside for a while. We'll call you for feedback.
to. Thank you.